Thank you so much, dear Tim. And I think, please fasten your belts. I'm ready to take you to somewhere far from Swiss. And don't worry about me, I'm coming from 30 Celsius to 0 almost. I hope this is one of what we have been presented about climate change yesterday. And thanks. So, as what I've been told, my name is Yussuf, and for that, I'm not coming from the researchers, which what this AI in cities and this applied machine learning actually focus on, but it was great being part of it so that I can share what the tools which we have been using, and maybe we can be able to get some research topics on this kind of frame. And I choose to talk about the trends is because we are all fascinated about the machine learning and AI. And for us specifically in Zanzibar, we are kind of not really on the development sides, but rather than on the user sides. And I wanted to share with you our experience and where we came from, how did it came, and where are we at the moment, and where we are hoping to be for the coming days. Does anyone here knows Zanzibar? Wow, amazing! Because most of other people who I met, they were struggling to find, and thanks to the Google, they were trying to type in Zanzibar, and finally they came in. So it's part of Tanzania, of course, and the Zanzibar is the island sides of the United Republic of Tanzania. And that is where actually I'm primarily origin from. And there's a quiet momentum when it's come to the urbanization and urban planning and city planning. And sometimes it's kind of contradicting to myself when they start talking about the cities, and sometimes they're talking about the towns. And for us, actually, we will say we really have one area which we are considered it like to be a city, but based on the size of our area, we have something which is called a local area plans, which are considered them like a towns. So we have the small towns, and then we have the big town, which is now considered as the Zanzibar town, or I know most of you know the Stone Town. You can consider it on the same case. And actually, when people thinking about, okay, how do we now do these local plans? How do we try to understand the situation about our Zanzibar towns? We were always struggling about getting the data behind it. So what do we have now? What are the current status of our areas? Especially we were really concerned about the rapid residential constructions which are going on. And of course, because of our cultures, we are not on the era of building the story buildings, rather than having our small houses, which are having for somehow issues when it's come to the land uses plan. And we were really thinking about doing the replan of the existing Stone Town. We cannot touch the Stone Town particularly because it's one of the historical heritage sites. But we have what's so-called now as a new town, we consider it as a Ngambo, but nowadays we call it a Zanzibar town, which we want to see how we can replan this area and try not to shift the citizen around those areas, but try to rebuild it so that it can be more smarter and it can be more resilient on the climate changes. And we were struggling on the data, is what I've said, and we had these mostly three options for us to collect the data. Yes, we are happy for the satellite data, but we are always know they are somehow limited access by us. And yes, if we want to have a free cloud satellite data, it's somehow more expensive. So something which we cannot really go go about it. And if you want just to have an assistant, the free available satellite data, this is what actually we are facing. We are so rich on the clouds, and apart from the resolution that we are getting those data. And again, in 2004, we were able to get our new aerial base map. And this one, we used the manned aircraft, of course, but it was costly. It was costly. You can imagine the way you are using a manned aircraft here for your transport is totally different from the way we are using it, and the costing of it and the operation of it is totally different. So you can imagine if you want to do the surveying, apart from renting just the aeroplane, now you are supposed to get another $1 million camera that can help you doing such survey. So you can try to understand to the small area like Zanzibar, we call it a small area, and you will understand why we call it that. To be able to use the manned aircraft for us to get a new aerial base map. And the last option for us in 2005, late 2005, we say, okay, technology there. I consider it one of the AI device or tools. And we say, what if we want to try using it? And then we had an ambition actually to just focus on the areas in which we think it's important for us to replan, and the urban growing is really growing so fast. But we ended up considering 2,500 square kilometers, which is composed of 2 big islands of Zanzibar, the Pemba, the top islands, and the Unguja Islands. And for this, how we were able to do it? Actually, we had to slice, as what we have seen from the previous slide. We had to slice it because the drone which we wanted to use is not like the most big drones which can fly for hours like a Global Hawk. Forget about it. And we were thinking about just having a consumer drone for us to use. So we had to slice it, and actually we slice it in 9 square kilometers. And we aim to get the GSD of 7 centimeter. And we are all in here understanding about now we can maybe get up to 15 or 30 centimeter from the satellite. But we wanted to cover this area in 7 centimeter. And that actually has resulted to have the only area so far on the world which has been covered on that resolution till now. We are hoping to get another area on that big extent in one goal. And actually the drone is really working quite well. The only thing what we have to do, we have to plan on the area. It's like we are creating those flight paths. And in creating those flight paths, we have to, as a photogrammetry needs, we have to provide a certain overlaps between these images. And we have to define all those parameters. And finally, let me try to skip these videos. Yeah, we have to connect to our drones and let it go and actually do our work. And this is how actually the drone will be flying on the real case, following the path that we have created and trying to capture those images, having an overlap inside. And what we get, sorry, to stop that video, and actually the drone will come to land by itself. And one more thing here, I want to show you. Actually, we had safe tools. Imagine there was a helicopter or a plane want to pass by. We were able actually to hold on our position. And of course, we could be able also to resume where the mission was so that we can continue finalize our area. And we didn't have really to do a big work, but the drone also could be able to come on landings. And actually, I started flying drones before even I stepped my foot into a manned aircraft. So that's how it's happened. And this is how the drone is landing. And what we get, this is what we get. We get the raw data. We talk here on our panel session. We are always working on the big data. We are collecting a bunch of satellite data from those years which has been mentioned. But what we have created is almost 27 terabytes of data. So it wasn't just a big, but It was a massive big, and that was just in one mission. Sorry, I wanted to show you how the image was processed. Maybe no problem. Yeah, no problem. Sorry, as a technical issue that we spoke, but actually there's a plenty of photogrammetry softwares that help us. I really wish, because I'm not coming from that area, but I wish to see how people was merging these images by using kind of telescope and other stuff. But for us, it was a bit easier with the technology. We only had to keep this bunch of data to a software, and actually we were using Pixpody mapper, but just for those who are not aware, we have another plenty of photogrammetry software which you can use to process this data. The processing was really a boring part, and we didn't really care about it, but this is what we were generating. You can see from those images, this is how our cities, what's considered to be, is. And you can see why we actually needed to have this kind of data for us to do replanning of our cities in order to make it more resilient. And from this data, we have actually initiated the construction of water drainage, like a rain drainage and other stuff, because we have been having a lot of problems on the flooding inside of those what is considered to be cities. And we got an opportunity as well to understand where are the trends in which people are going to, maybe because of the poverty or whatever reasons, people are going to build on the risk areas, and how the government can create a better policy in order to make sure these people's not going to build in such areas. And we knew from this data is not only characterization and identification which can be able to get. From this resolution, we were aware that now we can detect features, and we can understand to get a bunch of data from extracting these images in order for us to get more information which can help us in planning processes. And the good things of this data, actually, they are open. That's the good things of this data. I think we could not make the best use of it if we say we have to close this data rather than making them open in order for other people to come up with a better, what's so-called whatever model or other solutions which can be replicated on the other areas in which we are working on. And one of the main achievements, we were able also to initiate the TZ AI challenge based on this data. Why we initiate this challenge? The only reason, we know we have a massive data. We know that the traditional way, we have to go and digitize all these data in order for us to extract information. But we did that, of course, as a backup way, but also we give other people an opportunity to find an algorithms in which they can extract this data. And for us at the moment, we only wanted to have how many buildings which are completed, like fully roofed, how many buildings which are still partially, but people are living in, and how many foundation, how many new buildings that we wish to get on the coming days. So we left this data. We didn't do it. So thanks to Arthropon Lab for their good work and for opening the algorithm which they have used. You can get more information about it. And actually, so where are we? Yet we have not stepped our feet into developing approach. And this is why I was happy to be part of this machine learning conference this time. And my colleague, when I reached here, he was really wanted to understand the canopy of the trees inside of the Stone Town. And thanks for the Pictera tools, I only created the detectors, and I was able to get this kind of data. So we left all the grasses, but we focus on the tree. So it's not that good yet. It still need to be improved. It was done so quickly. And that is the power of machine learning toward this data. So what next? First, we really need to familiarize ourselves on these tools, what they can do. And the good thing is we don't want to stop there. Now we are really calling for another collaboration. We need other people who are aware of it, who knows how it's works, to come back, use this data in return of what? come and teach our youth how you have been using it in order to be also to be succeed on that. And also we are taking this data back to community. We want this data to be used not only for the policymakers, not only for the urban planning, but also we want the citizens to understand, this is how it is. This is how we are living in, for them to be able actually to take part in planning their areas. We don't have to let only professionals to plan the area, but the citizen, the community has really to have better understanding of what they want on the area. And that's it for today. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you for the great talk. I think before the break, we can take 2 questions.
Maybe all other speakers? It was only me. Okay, good. I turned it off, sorry.
It's okay. Thank you very much. Very impressive work. I have a very simple question. Can you afford to do this like every year or every 2 years or something like this? Because I think then it starts to generate a lot more value, like if you have time series of such data.
Perfect. The quick answer is not to the extent that we did before. And that is actually, drone didn't mean to be used in such context. We were ambitious to do it, and that was the only way for us to get a new base map after 10 years almost, or 14 years almost. But what we did after this, we were able to get the change detection from the university, where I am leading the drone lab there as well. Around that university, we were able to get almost 4 data sets. And we saw a massive change. And that's the value of what you're talking is there. We were able to understand what is going on around the university, at least when it's come to the building constructions. And at least that area is proper planned for somehow. So you don't have to go on that way. Drone didn't mean to do that. We still use the satellite data. And one of the stuff which actually most of the urban planners want, they said, we want to have a tools in which it can be incorporated. Maybe we plan, we give this tool what we have planned, and then we are using an AI or machine learning tools to incorporate the satellite data and try to pop up. You have planned this, but now this is going on. And then if that is a massive change, yes, take the drone, go cover that area. That will be the use of it, but not on that extent. We were ambitious and crazy to do that. That's what the only big reason. And of course, we wanted to train ourselves.
Thank you for the very well done presentation and very clear. I have a question with the head of transportation planning. Is there any situation that has to do with accessibility, weather, transportation, or any ways in which you could envision adding a transportation planning layer into this, or anything you want to tell me about it?
You mean transportation plans
so
based on...
what would be the ideal way to grow the city? What would be the dream transportation plan?
Yeah, and that's a good question. One of the things based on this data is like now there's a big project. It's not yet fully initiated, but we are trying to rebuild this area and try to have a new building structure and stuff like that. And the idea is to reduce, even when I was here, actually, I saw a message which has been written from this date. We will not allow most of these cars to go to the Stone Town as a touristics area, to remove that. But the transportation plans, I'm not sure if the Commission of Land, because it has not been shared yet, I know, but they already have a plan to understand how the mobility will be around what's so-called now the Zanzibar cities. And that was really the main reason also why we really need to replan and how this data can help them replan the transportation structure. I have heard, do you know that there is what's so-called BRT, rapid bus transport in Dar? They want to also put something like that in Zanzibar town. It's really like we don't want that as a citizens, but we cannot avoid it because it is going to improve our life anyway.
Okay, I think that's it. We have a coffee break now, so feel free to ask more questions to Yussuf. And we will continue at 3:30, I think, with the next talk. So get a coffee and come back.